What's up, guys? Welcome back to Basic Entertainment and welcome to a special live spoiler talk, a live spoiler review on the newest film, the biggest fight of the century, Godzilla versus Kong. But I'm not alone here today. I got Ewan from Mchat. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the big monkey fighting the big lizard and Team Godzilla. Team Godzilla all the way.
Oh yeah, and we're of course gonna talk about all that great stuff. Got people in the comments. Elevator hashtag continue the monsterverse. We will talk
Yes,
about
please.
the future of the monsterverse because they did left it up for Hank. They left it up to see what they're gonna do next. But yeah. Um
Yeah.
Elevator, hello. Is that I think it is.
So hello there. Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go.
Hello there.
Hello there to you, Maniac. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I haven't seen the movie yet, but don't mind spoilers. Only seen Godzilla 1, so I don't know too much. So that's good.
There's not much to spoil about this kind of film anyway. Like
Yeah,
you're not gonna get plot spoilers. There's not really a plot. There's not
Godzilla.
really a plot to spoil.
Yeah, Godzilla done clapping Khan. Well, we will talk about that epic
Get into
battle,
that.
of course.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into the movie reviews. For live spoiler reviews are a little bit different. We're gonna go into our positive negatives. What do you want to do first, negatives or positives?
We'll go positives.
Positives first. Okay. So positives of the film, starting with you, Mchat. What was the positive of this movie?
I mean, Godzilla fighting Kong. That's what we all came here for. It's by far the best part of the film. Let's face it, no one comes here for the human characters. No one comes here for a good story. People just want to see big CGI creatures fight each other. And when that's on the screen, it's like top notch, amazing. The visuals are spectacular in this film, especially the sort of the final battle in Hong Kong. It's like tons of neon lighting, really bright, colorful, vivid. You can see exactly what's going on. It's epic. Tons of city destruction. It's just exactly what you'd want. And then even the human characters in this, like, they're not super developed characters, but compared to King of the Monsters, they're actually likable. They're not. I didn't hate them, like with Millie Bobby Brown's character, Vera Farmiga's character, Kyle Chandler's character in King of Monsters. They were absolute trash. But here, those characters, a couple of those still in. Millie Bobby Brown and Kyle Chandler are in the film, and we'll get into negatives with that. Let's face it, I didn't like them. But the other characters that we have in this, was it Alexander Skarsgård, Rebecca Hall, and then someone else, a younger girl, who's actually deaf in real life, and then in the film she is as well. So it was nice having her in the film, and she actually gives a really good performance. She's actually the heart and soul of the film. Her relationship with Kong is really quite emotional, like unexpectedly. It hits in a way that you probably wouldn't expect this kind of film to. And that was just a nice addition to the film overall. But even that whole plot side, what I like about it is that whilst there are humans there, you've also got Kong in every single scene with them. So even just having him there, it's almost comforting. It's nice to have him there. Yeah, overall, I dug the film. When we get the monster stuff, it is amazing, and it gives a decent amount. In negatives, I'll talk about that. Maybe we could have had a little bit more, but yeah, Matt, you go with your positives now.
Positive is the skeptic. What's it called?
Scale.
The scale of it. The scale, the
Yeah.
grand action scenes you get in here. Of course, you kind of broke it down very well. You come in here for the monster fights. You come in here for Godzilla and Kong to fight. The story, we get into the negatives, but you come in there for that, and I think they delivered pretty well. The fights were grand. It was epic, and also too, it was all kind of like just showing you the monsters. They didn't really try to cut. Like they'll show action scene. I remember in Godzilla, I think Godzilla King of the Monsters did this horribly. They'll show a good action scene, right, and then they'll cut to like a human.
Yeah.
You don't get this that much in here. You just get a nice panel shot, them fighting for a good 5 minutes, 4 minutes. That's good enough. So the CGI, the fights, actually the the Kong-centric characters were not bad. I think they were good. They were fine. Of course, you talk about the little girl who had a connection with Kong. She was great. She they did something where it's like, with child actors, they're not good at delivering lines. They're just not good actors. So what they did is that they made her shut up and be deaf and just kind of communicate that way, which actually for some reason worked pretty well with the sign language. And of course, Kong, which makes sense because he is a monkey and he is more smarter than a big lizard. So I love that. I think I love how they kind of show these two guys use their, I want to say, powers to their advantage. You know, Kong being more smarter than Godzilla, Godzilla being more stronger than Kong. They use that very well. And they did. This is very much a Kong sequel. We'll get into that because I did have a
Yeah,
problem with one thing with Kong, but I love how they use Kong in this more science fiction way. He was more of a he had a more science fiction adventure, and we never seen that before in any of the Kong movies. Even Call Skull Island, it was just kind of like Skull Island. Majority of the time, the Peter Jackson films, you know, it was Skull Island, then you go to New York. So this is a new life for Kong, and I did like the science fiction aspect to it. It was pretty cool. But we'll get into our negatives. So, you want to go ahead and start it off with negatives?
yeah. So the biggest negative for me, once again, is same with King of the Monsters. Millie Bobby Brown's character, Kyle Chandler's character. Kyle Chandler wasn't really in the film all that much. In fact, he probably didn't need to be there at all. But even Millie Bobby Brown's character and that whole subplot with Brian Tyree Henry and the kid from Deadpool 2, I've completely forgot his name, but he's here as well. And you kind of have a few like comedic moments with them. A lot of those jokes just didn't land for me, just didn't work. And then just the whole subplot. This is a spoiler talk, so we'll talk about that subplot. It's involving them discovering mechagodzilla. Now, you didn't have to have that whole subplot just to do that because you could have just used the villains and actually develop those, especially when you have Ken Watanabe's character, Dr. Serizawa from the Godzilla 2014 King of the Monsters. Of course, he died in King of the Monsters, but you have his son here. You do absolutely nothing with his son. You have potential to make a really good character there, someone that, really interesting. Find out kind of his view against because he seems to be against the idea of the monsters. He seems to be against Godzilla, hence why they're making Mechagodzilla to combat him. But obviously, Dr. Serizawa, he was all like Team Monster, essentially, Team Titan. And it just would have been interesting to see why his son has a different view on that. Is it to do with because maybe he blames Godzilla for the death of his father? So much potential. This film is not, this entire franchise, it's not really about the humans. The humans are never the good characters, but whilst you have them there, why not use them? And if you have potential with that character, why not capitalize on that? And unfortunately, this film just doesn't. And then probably the other negative is that there wasn't enough. We have about 2 fights between Godzilla and Kong in the film. And, for a film titled Godzilla versus Kong, you kind of want a little bit more of that. And actually, speaking on like a positive real quick, the film's actually really short. And to be honest, even though it is really short, as I mentioned with that other subplot with Millie Bobby Brown, could have taken that out, implemented a bit more monster action in there. I would have liked to see it more. I would have liked to see a bit more of Godzilla as well, just doing stuff, because as I said at the beginning, I am Team Godzilla, so I would have liked to see Godzilla just fighting things, destroying stuff. That's exactly what we come to see, and unfortunately, there's maybe not as much as it as I would have liked to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that too, but I'm gonna go more in detail. Millie Bobby Brown, I think she's awful. I don't think she's a good actress at all right now at the moment.
I think she's all right in Stranger Things, but
the thing
I
with
think that show plays to her strengths, and she
yeah,
also has a good cast around her,
but
which
the thing
is
with
always going to be a benefit.
yeah, you talk about Stranger Things. I was on season 2 and I kind of stopped. From what I've seen from her, she's kind of playing quiet, fish out of water, kind of weird looking, and I think she's good at doing that. So they are playing her strengths. But over here, she's just cheesy. She just looks phony. It just doesn't look real to me. Her performance, of course, the writing is not helping her out either. But it just doesn't look right. At least Brian Terry, what's his name? Brian Terry.
Brian Tyree Henry.
Brian Tyree, he actually gives something charismatic. Yeah, his character was jokey. It didn't need to be there, but he was still improving, going with the flow. Millie Bob Brown just doesn't feel real to me, and that was the problem with Kings of Monsters too. It just her, Kyle Chandler. I was okay with Kyle Chandler in the Kingdom of Monsters. Yeah, the human stuff in that movie is also stupid too. The mom, don't get me started on the mom.
God,
it's trash, garbage.
Such a weird motivation.
Yeah, I think they try to justify it here, didn't they? Oh, we'll get into. But
I don't know.
My other negative too is Mechagodzilla's design. I did not like Mechagodzilla's design. I think it looked kind of stupid. It looked kind of spread out. I prefer more of the classic Mechagodzilla design, even though, of course, back then
Yeah, I know you mean.
less,
Yeah.
but it looked more intimidating. This one just looks like, it
I
looks
don't
like
know.
it
I think
was
it
just a
kind of
bunch of
look.
shit on, like they just threw a bunch
That's
of
kind
stuff
of what
at it.
that's kind of what the robots like look like. Though, it kind of tries to
Yeah.
make it a bit more intimidating looking. Whereas if you look at like the Transformers films, especially, that's
Oh yeah.
kind of what this is like here. You kind of put loads of spiky stuff on them, and it just
Right.
tries to make them look intimidating. But I dug Mechagodzilla's design. I thought it was really good. I just think probably the best Mechagodzilla design is Ready Player One. I thought it was
Oh
great in
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, his design to me was kind of off. Another negative, I want to say, of course, I would have gone. Like I'll agree with you. I would have gone, another round with these two guys, or more Godzilla. My more
I mean,
destruction, more
they did
action.
sort of have 3 rounds, but it wasn't really 3 rounds. It was just
Yeah.
like one went down and then got back up, and then you had round three. So you had. I wish you would have had like 3 rounds in 3 different locations, because you had
Right.
round one, which was on the boat, then you have round two in Hong Kong, and you have round three also in Hong Kong, like straight after.
And
So yeah,
you brought up a good point about what's the doctor's name from the Kingdom Monsters?
Sarazawa.
Suruzawa. That was his son.
Yeah, the guy that
I didn't
was
even know
like
that.
exactly. You wouldn't know. Like it's not exactly made obvious. I think it's mentioned once in the film, but his name's Summit Sarazawa.
Oh
And then
wow.
like on casting and everything, it was mentioned there. But most people aren't going to know that unless you look into it. Like no one's going to know that it was his son, and
So
it's
so
one of
that's
those
a
things that
yeah.
should have been made a bit more obvious than it was.
That's a new development right there. I did not know that. And that's a negative because why bring them
Yeah,
up? You kind of get them some depth, like, yeah, Godzilla is a monster, blah, blah, blah. I want revenge, something like that. But they didn't even mention it. I'm just finding out right now from Ewan. So that's insane, man. So that's another negative. And of course, that's I only see it. I actually
yeah,
enjoy the con-centric characters in this movie. I thought they were
yeah.
fine.
As well.
Um, Even though here's the problem with these monster movies is that you can't really get into character too much because they're always expediting about what the monster is doing, what's their motives, and all that stuff. So it's kind of hard for them.
Yeah,
But they actually give them something with Rebecca Hall and the girl, so that was actually pretty good. They were never in the way. They were just solid. Boom, boom, boom. As what's her name? Eza Gonzalez. She didn't need to be there. She's another
Isaac
negative.
Gonzalez. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Isaac
She
Gonzalez.
doesn't need
She
to
didn't
be
need to be there. She was just
Apparently,
there. Yeah.
apparently a lot of her stuff was cut out of the film though.
Yeah, I actually been hearing that
There's a lot cut out by the
there's a
sound of it.
lot
There's like
of
entire
cut out.
characters.
Yeah.
I think Jessica Henwick, who was in Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was supposed to be in the film. Her entire character was cut out.
Wow. Yeah. So I
So
was hearing that
yeah.
too. There was a 5 hour cut of, even though it's an assembly cut,
I don't.
there was
Yeah, I
still a
don't
lot
think
there.
there's always like big cuts of films, but like
Yeah.
it never really gets out. Like there's always tons of footage, and then they try to squeeze it down into something a bit more digestible for people. But
Yeah.
I like the runtime. I don't think it needed to be longer. Like a monster film like this that's focused on these two things fighting. I don't think it needs to be like a 2.5 hour film.
You're right.
It can be under 2 hours, and that's perfectly fine. Because people tend to enjoy films shorter, especially when it's something like this. Like if it's not got a lot of depth to it, there's no need to make it overly
Right.
long.
Unless you throw in another action scene in there, which I would have been down for,
I mean, if you threw in another action scene, you just take it slightly over 2 hours. So it's
Yeah.
really not much in the long run. And you'd probably actually take the runtime minus credits up to about 2 hours.
Right. But also too, this movie is kind of dumb. Let's be honest. This movie is stupid.
Oh yeah, they always are. They always are.
You really got to take off your credit hat before you walk into the theaters. That's what I did. I was like, I'm gonna take off my hat. I'm just gonna enjoy myself, and I enjoyed myself. The action was great. I really like how the action kind of involved in this movie a little bit more. It was more explosive. Also, too, I kind of want to say this too. I think they nerfed up Godzilla. He was moving a little bit faster. His arms looked a little bit longer. I don't know, man. And King of the Monsters looked slow.
Maybe.
I think a little fatter in King of the Monsters. This one, he was moving faster and stuff. So I think they nerfed him up. But of course, they nerfed up Khan, as this is a good question right here. Maniac. I read up that Godzilla is about 990 meters tall and Khan is 150 tall. And so, yeah.
Okay, it depends which Godzilla. I don't think this one is 980 meters tall. I think the tallest one is. I think there's an not an anime series, like an anime trilogy of films on Netflix, and I think that's the tallest Godzilla, and that's probably
Right.
the 980 meters one. And then the Kong that you're probably looking at is Kong Skull Island. Now, in this film, he's actually a lot bigger because he wasn't fully grown in that film. He's not. I don't think he's fully grown in this film, but Skull Island I think took place in what 70s because it was
Right.
like Vietnam War time. So this is 50 years later. So he's grown significantly since then.
Yeah.
So I can't really 100% speak on the exact height, but they're kind of similar sizes. I think they might have shrunk Godzilla slightly and then made Kong bigger, but yeah, I don't think Godzilla was ever 980 meters tall. I could be wrong,
And
but
they kind of
I know like the biggest version is that anime trilogy on Netflix.
right, and they kind of buffed up Khan too with giving him an axe. You know, that they added some stuff in there for him to actually match up. Because if you compare the old school Toho Godzilla with the old King Kong, it's not a matchup at all. It's not a matchup. So what they did was they
Have you
nerfed up.
have you seen the original King Kong versus Godzilla? 60s one?
I seen the fight, and it's not that good.
No,
The
I
movie
watched the
itself,
film.
yeah,
I watched the film the other day. It's so bad.
yeah,
The dubbing is horrible. Like it's just the English dub for it is so bad. Because you have like a Japanese cast for the most part.
right.
They use American voice actors, and it
And
just sounds like standard white American people talking, as Japanese. It just doesn't fit whatsoever. The lines don't fit with the mouth movements. It's really bad. And then add to that in the English dub version of the American version of it, they added this pointless exposition of like UN board meetings, basically explaining exactly what Kong and Godzilla are doing in the film, which we've just seen. So bad. And then the fight at the end it's cheesy. It's by far the best part of the film because it's like so bad it's good. Like Kong gets hit by electricity and then he gets like force
oh yeah,
lightning.
they give him some powers in that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they're just like rolling down the hill together.
I heard a thing
bad.
that was actually supposed to be Frankenstein. Frankenstein
Wait,
was gonna fight
Frankenstein versus.
Godzilla. Yeah,
Yeah,
because they give Kong
I'd
that
be down for that.
yeah, they give Kong that power of getting hit by electricity, and Frankenstein gets hit by electricity, he gets more powerful. Something crap like that. That's what I read up on it. They did some nice callbacks to that movie too. You got Kong for example. I don't know if this really was a callback, but they kind of picked them up from helicopters, and they kind of did the same thing with balloons in that movie. So that was kind of ridiculous. But also too, a nice little callback was the axe, him shoving down the throat. That was badass.
Like
yeah, with the tree. So that was some cool callbacks there. But Maniac says, who do you prefer, Godzilla or Kong?
Godzilla.
I'm wearing my Godzilla shirt right here. But go ahead.
Kong's the better character because he's always been more of a character. Godzilla's just 100% a plot device and just there to destroy things. Right. But that's perfectly fine with me. I just love Godzilla because he's so much cooler. He's got the atomic breath, which is badass. Yeah. And then of course his roar. His roar just gives me chills every time. It's so unique. And you compare it to like Kong's roar, it's just Kong just has a pretty standard roar, but Godzilla's is so distinctive. Godzilla all the way. He's just cooler.
Godzilla all the way too. I think the lore of his character, all the characters he has. I'm personally a big fan of King Ghidorah, so off GP, he's my favorite. Godzilla. Kong doesn't really have much, but I will say this, man. I do respect Kong a lot. And I think this entire franchise, I think he is the better character. He has just more of a characterization for him, and he has more heart to him. Godzilla is just a dumb monster who fights. That's let's be honest. That's really what he is. But no, man,
that's all he needs to be.
Yeah, and I think Kong has that kind of good balance with this movie too, because you got dumb monster fighting, then you got more of a monster. Kong has always been known as a sweetheart with the girls and stuff. So course, the little girl, he had like emotional connection with them, trying to find home. I will say this too. Another negative is that I would have really preferred a Kong sequel, a traditional Kong sequel, and I really have. I already have something mapped out. Get him out of Kong, show him getting out of Skull Island, and then give us more of a traditional Peter Jackson, not Peter Jackson, but of course, I brought that up because that's like the movie I actually saw on the Peter Jackson con. But give us a traditional con, going to New York, fighting and stuff like that. But of course, like a modern version of
I
it.
could see that, and I could see that if they continue with the franchise, because I don't think he ever left Skull Island. Because like the start of the film, they have him.
But he's in Hollow Earth now.
Containment. He is now. Yeah, he still could come back though. I don't know.
Right. I think they're setting up
maybe,
something else.
Maybe down the line, maybe further down the line.
But I think they missed their chance of having us a traditional con New York rampage type, movie.
Yeah.
I think that would be better than just straight up, because this is a con sequel. He's like the majority in this film. You really don't see Godzilla too much unless action scenes. The Hollow Earth stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I forgot to mention that positives. That's like
that's positive.
So really cool place. Like it's like Skull Island, I guess, but there's more monsters. It seems anyway. I think a missed opportunity though is the whole gravity thing that they have. I think they could have done like a Godzilla versus Kong fight within like the gravity stream. So you have like an anti-gravity fight in midair. Like that would have been so cool to see. Yeah. I love the Hollow Earth stuff. Really interesting. I would, if they do another Kong film, I would certainly like to see it in Hollow Earth. I think there's a lot of potential there.
Right. I think also too the Hollow Earth. I talked about that, the science fiction kind of aspect. That was very much science fiction. The way how they got in there was cool. And also too, just seeing all those monsters, they look beautiful. I think also too,
visually, the film's like
Avatar.
I mean, visual effects have visual effects have just peaked. I can't see them going any further.
Yeah, and it was the visual effects in here were awesome. I think Kong too. There were some funny parts to me in that Hollow Earth. Is like, this could be a nitpick, but he looks kind of smaller in some scenes. Like, I don't know if it's just the camera, but they pan out and he just looks a little bit more smaller than he should be.
Yeah.
And then once they get a Godzilla, I think that's just a camera trick or some crap.
No, it might be the scale of Hollow Earth. Like, we don't know what the scale of Hollow Earth is generally. Because I don't think Godzilla was ever in Hollow Earth. So if he was there, then maybe you could have had, a better idea of the size of Hollow Earth and everything. If you have Godzilla there, better sense of scale there.
Yeah, I think man, that stuff was cool. I kind of, and it's kind of like the journey to center of the Earth, right? It's kind of like right in the middle of the Earth.
Yeah, it's like that. So,
and then Godzilla was just shooting down, and he kind of told him, let's go back in this fight, because they're trying to say that. I didn't like though how they had Godzilla was. I like the plot where it's like, oh, Godzilla's trying to look for Kong to take him out, something like that. Like he's out in the open. I'm gonna go attack him.
Yeah, it's because he threatens Godzilla as king.
Yeah,
that's the main reason why I was after him.
And they kind of switched it up that he was, well, what was he? He was getting not jealous, but he was getting kind of like he was getting provoked to fight Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla was or something like that.
Well, the reason it was rampaging in the first place was because of Mechagodzilla. But then when Kong came out of hiding, he kind of sensed that he was there and thought that he might also be a threat to him ruling, which is what Mechagodzilla would have been as well. He would have been a threat to him.
Right.
So it's essentially him just trying to protect himself and trying to protect his position.
But I did like the fact that they make in the beginning of the film, they make Godzilla a little more of a villain, and that's sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. Doesn't really, he doesn't really have a decision to make.
No, he doesn't have an allegiance really.
Yeah, but then again, you get the Mechagodzilla, and then now you know who's the bad guy is, and then you get the whole fight. The fight was great. What's your the favorite fight is Kong, right?
What, the Kong vs Godzilla? Yeah. Oh, the Kong Godzilla, Mechagodzilla. To be honest, I'd probably go with the I think they're just the Kong Godzilla fight before Kong Godzilla, Mechagodzilla.
Okay, so Hong Kong.
Basically before Godzilla supposedly nearly kills Kong. Right. That whole sequence from Hollow Earth by the end of Hollow Earth to, Mechagodzilla appearing. I just liked all that stuff. I did like the Mechagodzilla stuff. It was pretty cool seeing Godzilla shooting his atomic breath while Mechagodzilla shoots his laser. That was kind of a cool moment.
Yeah.
But it's one of those circumstances where they bring in like this other villain last minute and they die pretty quickly. It was like Doomsday in Batman v Superman.
It was very much like that. I was telling myself that too.
They kind of just brought him in last minute. Thankfully, Mechagodzilla is not really a character; just exists. Whereas Doomsday, I guess, I don't even know, is Doomsday ever really considered a character? I think he's always just been like a plot device to kill Superman.
A little bit. Yeah, he's just a monster.
Yeah,
but he does have a more of a better background. But there was little similarities. Of course, you got that moment where they're both, when Godzilla submitted Kong, you kind of thought, oh, he's gonna say save Martha or some crap. It was kind of like it was in the same, same Mothra. It was in the same situation, but also too, I kind of like how it, I talked about how it shows their strengths. Godzilla, he after the second round when Kong beat Godzilla just got right back up and tackled him down and just submitted him. Put him in his foot, scratching him up. Yeah. That was match right there. So it was kind of like, the first round they went at the boat, the sea. Obviously, Godzilla
won.
He won
round
that.
2 was Kong. Yeah, round 2 was Kong. And then round 3 seemed to be Godzilla, but I don't know. Was there a definitive winner? Like,
it was Godzilla.
There was, but it was Godzilla. But I think people are saying it's Kong that won because Kong bet Mechagodzilla and that saved Godzilla. Yeah, it's like, no, Godzilla won. They're saying like he's a coward because he swam away. Like he was just showing a sign of respect. Like he could have gone against Kong again and actually killed him, but he thought, no, you saved me, so I'll leave you alone for now. I mean, I'm still king.
Yeah, Kong was kind of a coward too because he was running away, and then Godzilla shot him back. And, get back over here. But there was a definitive winner when they were started screaming at each other, roaring at each other. I think it was kind of proven that Godzilla beat Kong right there at that moment. But I was kind of telling myself, Mechagodzilla's being a shit at Godzilla. Kong goes over there, he saves the world, right? Against Mechagodzilla. So it's like, I don't know, man. I feel like they just did that just to do
win-win situation, I think.
To please the fans of Kong,
Yeah.
When
they were both like facing off, like right after they beat Mechagodzilla, they're both kind of looking at each other. Yeah. I did half expect one to bow down to the other, but then they didn't.
I mean, he dropped his axe and he kind of just hit the floor, hit the deck. So
I think they just kind of said like, we're done.
Yeah, I think also
there's not a winner in this fight.
Right, Kong, they tired him out. He was traveling all over the place. He was tired. That big monkey was tired when he went up against Godzilla, and of course, moving down the sea, that's nothing new. That's just normal for him. But Godzilla was going from here, Antarctica, Hollow Earth. He was going all over the place. So I could see that. You could say he was kind of tired, right? But the fight with Mechagodzilla was cool. Even though Godzilla kind of alley-ooped the assist to Kong, the axe, powered up the axe and went haywire on what's called Mecha. I still think Godzilla's the winner here. But
I mean, Kong would have died if it wasn't for the humans. Like the humans saved him by blowing up their ship and sending an electrical surge through him.
Right.
Which is also kind of a reference to the original King Kong versus Godzilla, like being hit by lightning, then sort of coming back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Godzilla did kind of win, but at the end, they kind of just came to a mutual agreement. And essentially now, I guess, Godzilla is kind of the ruler of Earth, and then Kong is the ruler of Hollow Earth.
Right.
So, I think that's kind of the status quo now.
But let's get to this question. Hashtag continue the Monsterverse. How can you guys see it?
Yes. Well.
How will you do it?
Here's my pitch. Okay, so we have Godzilla and Kong. Why not bring in Pacific Rim? Why not bring in Gundam? Why not just bring in all of this other like
Fast and Furious, Transformers
monster stuff? Just throw in not Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious won't fit in. Transformers would very much fit in. Right. Now you can bring in Voltron as well. And then just have them all fight. I'd love to see it. Like Ready Player One style, everything going up against each other, but it's just all giant stuff. And you have Iron Giant as well. That's also owned by Warner Brothers. So I'd love to just throw it all together. Like Transformers, you couldn't do because it's owned by Paramount. That's a no-go. I don't know what the rights to Voltron are, but Gundam is legendary. They're actually making a live-action Gundam film. Well, they were. I don't know whether they still are. Warner Brothers also own Pacific Rim, or legendary. I don't know who else owns it, but anyway.
Universal,
so you can throw that in there as well. Is it Universal? Okay, but Legendary still owns them anyway. So
own it.
Yeah. Legendary seems to just own all like the big monster stuff. Just throw all that together. I want to see it. I mean, that would be my pitch, but let's face it, that's probably not going to happen anyway. So realistically, I mean, $1 billion film.
Yeah.
Like Gundam, I actually think you could put Gundam in. I don't think Pacific Rim would. Like Pacific Rim would fit right in, but simply because that already has a franchise going, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
But I could see them trying to connect Gundam to Godzilla, and you have Gundam versus Godzilla. Like, think about how well that's going to do in Japan.
Oh,
that's
like the numbers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'd probably make $1 billion in Japan alone, if that's even possible.
Yeah.
But kind of on a realistic note, you're probably going to get like Destroyer, and all the other like monster Toho films. You're probably going to get all those kind of monsters in the future. We'll probably continue doing Godzilla films, continue doing Kong films. But I don't know. I mean, they've said that what they want to do is see what fans want, I guess. Which, you know, fans want to just see the monsters fight. We don't care about the human stuff. So I think that going forward, we're basically just going to see like remakes of the old Toho films, essentially. But I would like to see them cross over with Gundam or Pacific Rim. Like that'd be really cool to see. But I don't see it happening. I really don't.
I mean, Gundam sounds cool. Even though I don't know too much about it, I do know that.
I don't personally, but you know, considering that Legendary own the rights and they also own the rights to the MonsterVerse, you know, and considering that Gundam's not currently a franchise, there's potential to try and connect it in some way. But like, yeah, Pacific Rim, as I said, that would fit right in, but because that already exists as a franchise and as a set of films, it's difficult to connect them and connect the worlds.
Right. Yeah, but I'm gonna go with Destroy All Monsters. I think I want to see Destroy All Monsters. They kind of open up a Hollow Earth.
Yeah.
There's a lot of monsters in there they can explore, and you can probably bring back, you know, some other characters. Mega, you got right here, Gator Priffin,
Mechagodzilla.
Mechagodzilla. You can bring them back.
Is Mechagodzilla an actual thing?
Yeah, that's actually a thing.
Oh yeah, I remember now. I remember seeing a picture of it.
So
that would be sick.
Yeah, you could bring that back. You know, you could bring in this Destroyer. You could bring him. You could bring a shit ton of characters from Godzilla. Godzilla has a lot. Khan doesn't really have that much.
What's the thing with the you know, the meme with Godzilla like flying in on his tail, like drop kicking that other thing?
Oh,
that one. You could do that.
The Jet Jaguar.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, Jet Jaguar.
He could bring that in.
Actually, thinking of Jet Jaguar because he actually looks kind of like him. Bring in Ultraman.
Ultraman, there you go.
Yeah.
Ultraman.
That's it.
Dude, you can do a lot with Godzilla. But Khan though, I feel like you gotta improvise. Maybe throw in some new creative. The skull crawlers were a great original design for villains for Khan to fight. But Khan usually fights the military and
and that was in Hollow Earth. Like that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. So I don't see too much for Khan. But I think they will continue these franchises. Let's be honest. I mean, this is great. This is doing numbers for pandemic-wise.
Considering that this is doing really well, this is doing better than King of the Monsters, and that opened not in a pandemic. I mean, that opened against things like Endgame and Detective Pikachu was around them, so it was pretty stacked generally in cinemas. But this is doing well. Like even take away the pandemic, it's generally doing really well. And you've also got to consider that it's on HBO Max as well. So you've got to have big numbers from there. You've also got 285 million worldwide in cinemas now. So it's doing well. Like they're gonna continue it purely just on the money that this film has made.
Right.
But even like bringing in all these other monsters for them to fight, I don't know how the general audiences are going to maintain the interest
Right.
because they'll
Like
kind of just see it as it's the same thing constantly.
it's getting
Just two monsters
repetitive.
going against each other. Yeah,
Yeah. But us real
like it was
fans,
cool
we
for
want to see
this.
that. I don't care.
Oh yeah,
You
but
know?
I mean these are like multi-million, like 100, 150, $200 million films. It costs a lot to make, and
Yeah.
let's face it, fans alone aren't going to make that money. So, I mean,
Yeah.
based on how this film is done, they're going to make another. Don't know what it'll be, but they're going to make something else.
Right. And maybe Godzilla versus Kong too. You know, another round of that. That would be
Yeah,
pretty cool. They could do
or
something like that.
Godzilla and Kong versus all the monsters. Do that. There
Oh,
you go.
destroy all monsters.
So,
Yeah. Something like that.
destroy all monsters, but it's Godzilla and Kong versus them all. That'd be
Yeah, that'd
so
be
good.
badass. But I think right here they kind of show me that they can move on and they still can, because in this one, let's be honest, they kind of listen to the fans a little bit more.
They did,
Even though with
yeah.
the
I mean,
annoying
they
characters,
completely
they
like
let them
they
down.
complete. Yeah, I mean, what they did after King of the Monsters, and it's why Godzilla vs Kong was delayed initially, even before COVID. They listened to what the fans said about King of the Monsters and what they didn't like,
Yeah,
and it was after like test screenings and stuff. And they kind of that's why we have loads of characters cut out with this film and loads of stuff cut
right.
out because they kind of just went with what fans wanted and gave us a bit more of that, made it a bit
Yeah,
shorter. The characters generally aren't super irritating, and they don't really have, it's not made to be like this intimate character drama, which is kind of what King of the Monsters tried to be, but completely failed at. And then you just try and make it a fun summer blockbuster. That's what the film did, and that's what fans wanted. So delivered on
right.
that aspect.
Yeah, man. I think you deliver on that. I have a great time watching this one. So we're actually gonna
Yeah.
get into we want to go highlight moment. What was the highlight moment of this movie?
Oh, easy. I mean, Godzilla actually fighting Kong, like any of those moments, but specifically Hong Kong. Um,
Yeah.
you can't go wrong. Like there is no better moment than what the film promises. So yeah, Godzilla fighting Kong in Hong Kong, top tier.
I got to go with that too, but I'm gonna throw in a real one. My actual real highlight moment is the first punch. The first punch when these two giants throw. It was epic, man. The whole battleship.
Oh, the one,
Seeing
yeah,
all
the,
that,
the shot
the
from the
pan
trailers,
out.
like the
Yeah,
yeah,
it was freaking awesome.
that
Just
was
just
good.
seeing it for the first time, is like, wow, this is actually happening. We got the two
Yeah,
most iconic monsters of all time actually fighting on the big screen, and it was great, man. I really, enjoyed that part. That was a great moment.
yeah.
But we're gonna actually
I
get
mean, if
into
we
our
if we want to go with if we want to go with a highlight shot of the film, the moment where Kong jumps up with the axe, blocks the um
oh yeah,
atomic breath. That was badass. I mean, it was in the trailer, and I kind of wish it wasn't.
yeah.
But
I kind of think the
nonetheless, it's
trailer did
still
it better
so
though,
cool.
because they had the
Sort of,
music
yeah,
going on. I kind of like it when there's no
yeah,
music and you just hear the sound effect of it. So that's a little nitpick, but it was still an awesome
yeah.
moment nonetheless.
Still a good moment. Yeah.
So we're gonna go on our final grades. Have us time to think about it. Ewan, what's your final grades for this one?
Okay, so in my review, I gave it a B. I'm going to go with the same thing. I'll just go quickly why. Um, I enjoyed the Godzilla vs Kong stuff. The human stuff is fine. Like the stuff with the humans and Kong, I thought was pretty decent, all things considered. I just would have liked a bit more. Like it's a fun summer blockbuster, and honestly, the grid probably would have gone up if I'd seen it in the cinema. Unfortunately, they're shut over here, so I couldn't see it. So I watched it at home, still with surround sound stuff. So it was a generally good experience, but I think that the cinematic experience would have enhanced it. But I liked it. I dug it. I think for what it was, it worked. So yeah, overall, I'm giving it a B.
So, of course, if you guys know, I actually did a rewatch of all the Godzilla and Kong movies, and I enjoy them all. I think even King of the Monsters, which I really hated before, I kind of saw for what it was, and it still have action, even though it was kind of let down in some aspects. But here, they fix a lot of mistakes for those previous movies. They actually give us the action, and the characters too were not too bad. Of course, the Godzilla centric characters were trash. The Kong characters were not bad at all, and they brought us some interesting stuff in here. The Hollow Earth was great. All that stuff was great. And it was, I actually watched this in the cinema, so I'm not meant to brag, but I got that experience and I was like, nice. It was actually pretty cool watching it. So It was experience to see and meant to be on the big screen. Sorry, Mchat, but I'm gonna go with I'm gonna stick with my grade that I gave my movie review, my spoiler-free one, which you guys can check out. I'm gonna give it a B+. I gotta throw in a little salty jab there with the cinemas.
I mean, they're opening on May 17th over here. If everything goes as planned with vaccines and stuff. So when they open, if they are playing Godzilla vs Kong, I am definitely going to see that thing in the cinema.
Oh yeah,
I need it. It was made for that. Honestly, I wish they kind of would have delayed it a little bit more just so I could see it. But yeah, That's just a personal thing.
Yeah,
I'm saddened that I didn't get to see it in a cinema. But when I do see it in the cinema, I'm hoping that it's even better than it already was. Yeah.
But of course, man, this was fun talking some spoiler talk with about this movie. Of course, you guys can follow Mchat at where again?
Mchat everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and I think that's it. I tend to have most of the social media, so it's not exactly Mchat everywhere, but if you see my profile picture, it's the same across the board. I've just had to kind of change names depending on what can actually be used on those different social medias. But yeah, you can find me at Mchat. I've got a few videos coming out this week. There's a very random anime series called The Way of the House Husband that's coming out on Netflix. I'll give you a quick overview of what it is. Basically, it's about an ex-Yakuza boss who retires to become a house husband. So, very bizarre premise. It's kind of weird. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how it is. And then I've also got Guardians of the Galaxy review coming out this week, I think. Wonder Woman 1984, I still need to review that. I still need to watch it. I've had it for like 2 weeks. I haven't watched it yet. And I think that's it. And there's also Thunder Force coming out on Friday. That film looks pretty bad, but we'll see how that is. And then also go check me out on the Wolf of Geek Street. I am officially writing over there. I mentioned it yesterday on the Falcon and Winter Soldier spoiler talk. I do have an article up about recent casting for the Borderlands film. So definitely go check that out. And as I said, follow me on all social medias, YouTube, etc. And yeah, Matt, thank you once again for having me on. It was a ton of fun to talk about this film. Just a ton of fun to talk about potential future of the Monsterverse. What we did and didn't like about this film. I really enjoyed it, and I hope to be on the channel once again soon.
Oh man, of course, and we're gonna actually talk about that because with me, you're gonna be seeing a lot of me in Mchat in the future. We're starting. What is it? May? It's like May. They're gonna
May 5th. Sorry, we're doing it.
May 5th, where it's gonna be our first live.
Comes out.
Yeah. And then they're gonna have one episode that same week, so 2 episodes that week, right?
Yeah.
And then you will see us on our traditional Mondays.
Yeah. So what it's going to be is, I think on the Wednesday, the May the 5th, we'll be doing spoiler talk of the Bad Batch. We'll see if we can get another guest on as well. And then on Monday, I don't know what day it is, but the next Monday after will be spoiler talk for episode 2. Because for those who don't know, May 4th, we're getting the first episode of Bad Batch. It's going to be a 70-minute premiere. Really excited for that. It's like a movie, nearly. And then on the Friday, May 7th. Friday, May 7th, we're then getting episode 2, which presumably is going to be a 20-minute episode. So it's going to be every Monday, as with all of Matt's other spoiler talks, but we'll have that special one the day after on Wednesday, May 5th. So make sure you stay tuned for that. I presume it'll be similar time to this.
Similar times. Maybe Wednesdays will be that special one will be a little bit more earlier. But of course, Bad Batch, we'll be doing that. He will be my co-host, so that will be a lot of fun. Of course, I will actually have I might do some TV reactions for that too. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. Of course, you guys can follow me here on Basic Entertainment. You can follow me on Instagram too at Basic Entertainment. And I'm Matt from Basic Entertainment, man, where I love to talk all things geeky with all my great YouTube friends and bringing in this extra opinions and stuff like that is always welcome here on the channel. So I will see you guys next time. Ewan will see you guys next time. We are out of here. Stay positive. Deuces.